It's a pleasure to have you back on today's episode of Daybreak Africa, reaching you live from the Lagos studios of KAFTAN Television. As promised before we went on that short break, we informed you that to be coming back with our guest to talk about a very serious issue happening right now in the country. We'll be talking about ethnic profiling happening in Nigeria, and to talk with me to analyze it is a political analyst. It goes by the name Victor Oriola. Good morning to you, sir.
Thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure, Owen.
Good morning.
All right, without wasting much of our time, there's this news here that prompted this topic as Lagos Archbishop condemns ethnic profiling calls for peace and tolerance. The Catholic Archbishop of Lagos State, Most Reverend Alfred Adewale Martins, has condemned all forms of ethnic profiling, utterances and violence witnessed in some parts of the state before, during and after the recent elections. In a statement signed by him, he urged, as a matter of urgency, call on all political parties to author and to put in place machinery for urgent restoration of peace and normalcy. The priest said if the trend was not quickly checked, it could truncate the peaceful coexistence of residents of the state. Now, Mr. Victor Oriola, I'd like to first ask this question. What's your take on ethnic profiling as a whole?
I think for a country like Nigeria, that we fought a bitter civil war for 30 months, 2.5 years. I don't think we have learned from that bitter experience. Because if you look at what happened in Rwanda between the Tutsi and the Hutsi, today, if you go to Rwanda, they call you a Rwanda. You no longer go by your tribe. And I'm troubled, I'm worried, because those who fought to keep Nigeria together were like General Yakubu Gowon. Then I still recall now the referring there that to keep Nigeria as one is a task that must be done. When they look at the different part of the country now coming up with agitations, I want to the Yoruba people, some part of Yoruba, section of Yoruba, some part of Igbo land, and going to an election with this type of rhetorics, I don't think it's healthy at all. Because by the time you divide your people, how do you want to govern them after the election? Because now elections are over. So what next? How do you not begin to? I think our focus should be on what will put us together. Talk about the unity of the country, and I think our policymakers, they should look through again this issue of when you are filing a form or some other things. This issue of state of origin, it should be state of residence. That is what is obtainable all over the world. Because what happens if you move from this state today and you move to another state? That means you need to start all over again. But if you just simply put state of residence, so check. If you look at America, you can be a governor here, move to Michigan, move to Arizona, and be something else.
With that being said, pardon me, Grace, with that being said, are you saying the government are the remote cause of all of this? We shouldn't have had anything called state of origin right from time.
Yes.
We should have had state of residence.
Yeah, definitely.
Apart from that, what other thing do you think they caused? They had a hand in the whole ethnic profiling?
I think if you look at the whole thing coming from even the party in power, you don't expect those in government to begin to whip up ethnic all this primordial sentiment to win election, and they should realize that it's an influence that will do nobody any good. Because at the end of the day, if you check Rwanda today, in fact they learned their lesson in a hard way. Yes. The same thing happened to us, and we are still. People like General Gowon, General Obasanjo, Danjuma, and those who fought that civil war, then they'll be wondering, what is wrong with this country?
I think that's where I want to bring my question from. I think that nowadays we do not have history lessons, we do not have history classes, where people can really sit to learn from what has happened time past. So do you think this is a major cause? Because we know that this is coming from this ethnic profiling is now, it started from the social media space, and then it's now growing even beyond the social media space. So do you think that the youth or the younger generations now do not really understand what has happened in time past? That's why this is coming up again. It's part of it. And if you look at it again, I think the Ministry of Information, they are not doing enough, because when we're growing up then under Babangida, we have this MAMSA,
In fact, whenever you are having elections, you have all manners of, you have posters, billboard, and all those campaigns talking about oneness, talking about unity. In fact, now the National Orientation Agency that replaced MAMSA and all these things, you hardly hear them even before, during, and after the election, talk about vote not fight. In fact, most of all this campaign have been done by private individual, Two-Face, and some other people. Not the government. I think government should have they should make it a point of duty that look, the unity, because if you need to unite the country first, because if you are coming up with a program without the buy-in of the citizen, it's very difficult. For instance, now a lot of them, most of the three major party candidates now, they are talking about removing the subsidy. So how would that be possible in the midst of this because you see the other person will raise an issue that look, this thing is targeted towards a particular group. So I think we need to come up with a plan, a conscious effort to unite the country. I think that is what we need to do now.
Coming up with a conscious effort to unite the country, we have three major tribes in Nigeria. We have the Hausa tribe, we have the Yoruba tribe, and the Igbo tribe. The Yorubas, I don't want to say, is it fair to say we are like, when it comes to tribalism, you will find the Yoruba first, because in everything they do, they always speak about, oh, are you Yoruba? Oh, what tribe are you from? What state are you from? All of that. This ethnic profiling has been in the country for a while now, but during this just completed election, both gubernatorial election, presidential election, it became viral. Yeah. Who started it? Are they trying to use it as a tool against democracy? Or what is the end product? What are they looking forward to gain from all of that?
I think the proponent of this ethnic profiling is basically just to win election. That's it. Because if you look at they been living together before, they know that we know our weaknesses and our strength. We know what a particular tribe is noted for, is good for, and we'll be cohabiting without stretching all these fault lines. Now coming at the election, then you know that some people are trying to come up with a rhetorics, at least to score cheap popularity or to gain advantage over other. During the election.
Let's divert a little bit. What's your general overview on the just completed gubernatorial election here in Lagos?
If you look at what actually happened, because if you win an election fair and square, you hardly know what they would contest it. Look at what happened in Oyo State, for instance. Or the APC candidate congratulated the Accord party, said, look, this is the time to start up. Look at Lagos. All the major other contestants, they are filing cases at the appeal court. In fact, they've come up with so many press releases, press conferences, and some other things. So, if you discover that a lot of people were disenfranchised, they were chased away if you are not voting for a particular party, and I don't think in 21st century that we should be talking about that. We are not in a war-torn country. It's like a country fighting against itself.
And now you know that the INEC has not come out to address the situation of disenfranchising, and then probably people had violence in some polling units and all of that. And even
in that case, I was at the Coalition Center, and the INEC official led by Ajayi and some other vice chancellors from UNILAG talked about it particularly. He said there was no confirmed case. He said the commissioner for the state in Lagos, the police, talked about how there was just one person that was odds in the whole election in Lagos State, and then the person the person didn't die. There was no case of fatality. There was no serious case. So others were not confirmed, and they were just social media stalked. So in that case, there was nothing like disenfranchisement. I was there. It talked about overvoting. It's one of the major problems that was recorded in Lagos State, which is so unusual. Even Lagos, even during the presidential polls, there was nothing like overvoting. But then he come and tell us that nothing of such happened. So we could not justify it.
It's because you see, most of the people at times people allow their ethnic relationship with some people to becloud their sense of reasoning. Look at what happened in Abia, for instance. Look at that woman. She stood her ground, and look at the end of the day. Immediately they announced Mr. Alesoti as the winner. Look at the way the people erupted in jubilation. Why jubilation? The governor, the sitting governor, who's a candidate, lost election, has congratulated him and prayed to work together. If you do the right thing, you hardly find all this litigation up and down and all those things. If you win fair and square, nobody will contest it, because it will be so open, so it will be so clear. What of the Oro court and all the noise before the election? Some people should not come out, some part of Etios and some other things.
Etios are voted on Sunday morning.
That you hear such a pronouncement from a traditional ruler.
So is it fair to say the election was not free, fair, transparent, and credible?
Definitely, it's a part of the country. That is why we are still having some inconclusive elections. Yes. In Kebbi, in fact, no date has been fixed now. In Adamawa, no date has been fixed. Election, look, Kenya just had they had the election. Kenya, look, election. You have a governorship election. 2-3 days after, you are still waiting for the result. How many local government we have? Despite our population in Lagos, 20. In Oyo, they have 33. Or by the evening of that day, the result was already known. Because if you are not trying to suppress, if there is no voter suppression, if you are not trying to do something fishy, with the technology that the INEC deploy, it won't take long for people to know the result. Because each of the political parties set up their own collation center. They have their own situation room where they monitor from their agent. Once they get the result from the polling unit, they snap and send to them. So even before the INEC, before the final collation, they already have the result.
Do you foresee ethnic profiling resulting to another world war or state war or local war?
It's already. You see some of our brothers threatening to leave some part of the country and go back and set up their what they are known for in their own part of the country, and that is not healthy, because by the time you are being threatened to come and burn down the markets, attack the markets, and all manners of closure, at least at times they use some means that is more than extrajudicial means to attack these people. It will get to a time that, look, maybe we should go back to maybe we are no longer needed here. That's it. And I think we should be very careful about this.
Okay, let's talk about equal representation of the ethnic groups. And we know that we even have more than 3 ethnic groups in the country.
Yes,
I think that's what many people do not know, that it's not just Yoruba, Hausa, and Igbos. We have Efik, and then all other all other ethnic groups in the country. Now, how do we how do the government set this in the structure that whereby everybody can be well represented? Because now we see the reason is, the Hausas came on board for the office of the presidency, the Yorubas have been there, now the Igbos want a chance, and this is why they feel cheated, because if these people are they've been here, their own ethnic group has been in that position, that high position, then I think that my own ethnic group should also be there. So how well can we make sure that this all the ethnic groups can be well represented across all government positions? Because now this is what we are facing. This is what we are facing right now in Nigeria. We can't totally push it away, except the government comes to say, okay, there's also like Yoruba, Igbo, Nigerian. So how well can we structure, or how well can the government rather structure this?
You see, what we are doing in Nigeria is like placing the cart before the horse. It won't work. I think what we should strive for is excellence. What we have in UK, what we have in US, not all this trying to give some people advantage, some other. We have federal character, quota system, education less advantage. Has it solved the problem? No. The answer is no. It will solve the problem unless you set a machinery that, look, let's go for the best. For instance, if you are sick or you are down with illness, do you care about the doctor that will treat you? It's because we've not been having it easy with those running the affairs of the country. If a country is being run, nobody cares. The Prime Minister of Britain today is an Indian by birth. We have so many Nigerians working in US. Even in strategic places now in America, working there. Nobody cares. What they want is having a strong institution, delivering the dividend to the people. So until we realize this, because if you look at it critically, even among the Yorubas, even at times when it comes to election, if you are from Ogun, you are coming to Lagos to contest, people will raise their this thing. You don't seem supposed to be
almost the same border.
You hardly find somebody from Lagos going to Ogun to contest. People will raise issue.
Very true.
And if you look at even among the Yorubas, look at some of the setting, you discover that the way God put us together, our diversity was supposed to be our advantage, because we've mismanaged it.
Now let's compare the cash crunch with vote buying and sell during the election. There's a story I'm saying now as CBN confirms evacuation of banknotes from its vaults to commercial banks across the country as part of coordinated efforts to ease the circulation of banknotes of various denominations. The CBN has directed all commercial banks to open for operation on Saturdays and Sunday, noting that substantial amounts of money in various denominations has been received by commercial banks for onward circulation to their respective customers. For the past a month, if not more than a month now, we've been suffering cash crunch that we've never really suffered before in a country, in which we had to resort to online transaction, and we don't want to talk about that. But CBN told us that it was as a means to curb vote buying and selling. Was that effective to a pause?
I don't think so. You heard what happened in some states. I don't want to mention names now, where you have an electronic transfer to even some recharge card. Once you load, it will take you get some amount in your look. I don't know. I don't know how they come up with that because it looks so childish. Because how do you think those who are desperate for power will now sit back and will not devise another means? Even when you have the beavers, when you have all the electronic gadgets, they still try to circumvent it. And now you are talking about by curtailing, by withdrawing cash from circulation. That will stop. It won't stop any. As a matter of fact, most of all these people, political exposed persons, most of them spend the dollars, so they can easily get cash from the bureau de change once they give them dollars. So the program in its entirety has failed woefully. If you look at it now, the idea when you design a currency, the idea is that when you go and deposit your old note, you get a new one.
Yes.
Now we are still spending the
I remember the last time, the currency was changed and we had to change to the polymer note, and immediately whatever amount you take to the bank,
you get it back.
It was seamless.
Very seamless.
Yes.
Now I did expect the fact that we have to go to the bank, you spend hours on the queue, and then you still do not get any amount or any new note or new naira.
You get old notes.
And the point is, the main reason why this rule or this law was passed was because basically for the new naira note to come into play, into the system, and then everybody gets the new naira note. But now the CBN governor has said, okay, we can now spend the old naira notes till December
31.
The system is already, I don't know, it's already hitting against itself.
If you listen to the argument now, you are taking away about 2.something trillion out of circulation, and you are pumping. Initially they pumping about 400 billion. I think it's up to 1 trillion now. How do you think that will work? Look, the people that are most hard hit now, they are those who trade. They need about maybe 10, 15, 20,000 daily. How many POS do you see around anymore? They're gone. Because this program, this by CBN, it was not well thought out.
So to wrap up the conversation, how do we start solving the main issues we are faced with from the perspective of an individual? We will keep talking about the government should do this, the government should do that, but from we as individuals, how do we start making a positive change to contribute to the change we all clamored and wanted?
We must be patriotic. That's it. The only preach that we should love one another and we should do unto others what we want people to do unto us.
This is to the POS owners. Just stop overcharging, and once everything gets back to normal, let the charges go back to normal. Well, this is where we draw the curtain for today. We say a very thank you to Mr. Victor for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for enlightening Nigerians as usual.
Thank you.
Yes, we will go on a short break right now to return with the concluded part of the program. Don't move a muscle.